Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Warcraft news. And yeah, wow, what a week it's been. We launched a new channel last week, and it's been going fantastically. I'm pretty damn blown away by your support. And yeah, if you haven't heard, we're doing another channel. It's industry coverage with more original content planned for the future. We already have got videos out covering the Activision-Blizzard Bungie saga, the $15 million bonus saga, the breakdown of the Randy Pitchford situation, and there's also some Fallout stuff, and basically how Bethesda have hilariously destroyed their MMO economy through the special power known as being Bethesda. So it's 3 to 5 more videos a week. So far, people seem to have been really enjoying, I think, a different sort of take from the most of the industry news that's out there. So a big thank you to them for supporting. I recommend checking it out. Hit up those links below. And with that, let's get into the news. So we actually have some really good news to start off with, and that is communication from the developers. Now, I have hit Blizzard hard on this topic in the past, and I think I was and am right to do that, because communication is so very important. Well, we've just seen Ian Hazzikostas make a few forum posts that explain quite a lot of what's changing with Season 2. And yeah, I mean, that's good, because a lot of this stuff's not intuitive, and it does need to be explained officially if they want to continue their scaling-heavy approach to managing the length of the game's progression. Previously, this would have been the job of, like, say, me and Wowhead, and we will do our guides on how you can best use all that, but seeing the game director jump into the fray to do that himself is fantastic. He also made a few follow-up posts as well, which were all good. So while it's a small-ish gesture in the grand scheme of things, it absolutely is the sort of thing that I'd love to see more of. Now, Ian actually did mention how the EU mirror for the post didn't go up because he was experiencing a bug on his end, and the only thing I'd say about that is I'm kind of surprised that he has to make the post himself. I mean, no one in that team has a higher value, like, for their time, so I think it would make more sense for him to just write the article and wing it off to the CM team to actually do the posting, and I wonder if they could have some sort of internal pipeline for supporting more easy developer communication, such that for people like Ian, it would be really easy to just do a post and fling it off to the CM people. Anyway, in short, great to see, good job, and I hope they do more of it. Next, let's talk about Blizz, well, deciding to save Mythic players from themselves somewhat. So, you see, you could actually funnel Azerite gear to one character when you were doing raiding, and that essentially meant that characters could earn a massive amount of Titan Residuum, which of course, a lot of people would have wanted to do because it could mean they could start off on a better foot once the new raid comes out. That's, of course, very important for the competitive raiding types. Not that they enjoyed it that much, with many pointing out how exploitable a system it was when it first came out in 8.1. Well, combined with the massive AP farming that they've also subjected themselves to, the holidays may not have actually felt like much of a break. Now, this is, of course, all their own doing, and at the end of the day, if you're going to push everything to its utter maximum, yeah, expect things to get a bit strange, but still, TR being used like this was a little bit strange, so Blizzard have decided to make it such that you can only earn TR from DEing or scrapping Azerite gear that is meant for your class. So, pretty good. Pity it didn't come in earlier. Next, in a move that will actually impact far more players, Blizzard are actually changing how emissaries and assault wrapper quests reward gear. They are now going to give you gear for either your current spec or your loot spec if you have selected one. So imagine my excitement when I got a Warforged weapon that was like, you know, a 380 or something like that, just to realize that, yeah, it was for the one spec that I don't play. Well, that's not going to happen anymore, and the reasoning is basically that those things are random rewards. They should therefore take your loot spec into account. Regular fixed world quests, well, they don't really work that way. If they change when you change spec, you know, it would be a little bit broken. And you know what? You know, they're fixed. You know what you're getting when you go into them. So this is just way more sensible for those, you know, random caches. Overall, a pretty damn good thing. But next, reset the clock, because yes, there is a bit of an outrage again. Once more, it's about the in-game store, and indeed Blizzard's plans for it. However, this time, things are actually quite different, and I think there was a more reasonable element to most aspects of this debate, and it does break us out into a big industry thing. So, Blizzard posted about their upcoming esports plans for the year. So far, it's all normal, but if you go to the very bottom of the article, you see something new. In a move that is actually highly similar to many industry norms, Blizzard are partially crowdfunding their prize pools for the WoW esports stuff. They plan to do this through the sale of toys in the in-game store during spring of this year, with a portion of those sales going into the prize pools of the PvP and Mythic Plus tournaments. Now, on face value, It's actually very similar to what we see done in other titles, such as Valve's Dota 2, and where its main tournament has, for quite some time, had a crowd-funded element to its prize pool, and that is a prize pool that hit almost $25 million in 2018. Now, the way that worked is that 25% of sales from the International Battle Pass would go towards that prize pool. Now, what was the Battle Pass? How does it work? Because in answering these, we can really compare the difference between Valve and Blizzard's offerings, and that really does actually explain a lot for us. So, once you purchase a Battle Pass, you start off at level 1. It takes 1,000 battle points to gain a level on your Battle Pass. These points are earned through gameplay, but there are also special incentive systems, such as the new Battle Pass's Cavern Crawl system, which is kind of like this little meta game on top of progression. That's kind of meant to encourage you to try out new champions and experiment a bit. I believe there are also basically like daily and weekly challenges. There's also a tipping system where you can tip teammates after a really good match if you enjoy playing with them or they did really well. There are also wagers that you can place on your own matches using tokens. Not 100% sure how that works. And you can also attempt to predict the results of upcoming pro circuit matches, earning battle points whenever you make correct predictions. So that's pretty cool. And there's also something called the Underhallow Brawl, which I believe is another game mode, and if memory serves, there is quite an extensive integration with the in-game UI that just, it offers a pretty rich experience for people who want to keep up to date with the professional circuit. Then, as for rewards, oh boy, there are stacks of them, and I basically have no idea what most of them are. I'm not a Dota player, but from living with a Dota player for a year, it seems like there's a lot to the rewards. Now, the rewards are unlocked as you level through your Battle Pass, and that means that not all players will get all rewards. I suppose it's a bit like the Fortnite Battle Pass or the PUBG one as well. But essentially, you buy in for the season, and it gives you a decent, sort of layer of additional stuff on top of your regular Dota experience. Now, the Battle Pass costs $9.99, but you can purchase additional levels of the Battle Pass for extra money, because of course you can. Now, this also does exist on top of the Dota 2 Pro subscription, which came out just under a year ago, and that's priced at £3 per month, but less if you commit for longer, and it kind of gives you a list of challenges and rewards to complete, which honestly is a little bit strange. But on the whole, it's Valve trying to get subscription-like behavior and deeper player engagement out of their game. A game that's free to play, with a very consumer-friendly model that, unlike Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends, gives you all characters for free baseline. Now, there are loads of rewards, it's got a cheap entry price, and it does seem like Valve put a lot of development work into it. Now, Blizzard first copied a system like this with StarCraft 2. Full disclosure, StarCraft 2, just as a pure game, is probably my overall favorite Blizz game, I would say. I don't really play it as much as WoW though, but I purchased the war chest. I like the skins, I watch StarCraft 2 Esports regularly. For me, as somebody who loves that game and gets a hell of a lot out of it, it kind of made sense. That said, I've got to be real. It is less robust and not as good as the Valve offering. Now, what do StarCraft and Dota have in common? Well, one of them is buy to play. The other one is free to play. On face value, not that much at all. Well, actually, Valve want Dota 2 to be a long-term earner for them, and that means having skins and things like the Battle Pass. With StarCraft 2, well, once that's been purchased, that's it. But we have seen them add additional microtransactions and the war chest. And for me, it kind of makes sense with how they run the game, because unlike a buy-to-play game from way back in the day when I was 12 or 13, where, you buy it and that's that, well, StarCraft 2 is regularly updated with new maps, new variants on its co-op, and loads of meta changes and things like that. It's not an expensive live service to run, but it is a live service. And I think it's reasonable to expect that there is some component of that that earns the company money because they are putting work into it and keeping it fresh for their players. And this is what takes us back to WoW, because after their StarCraft 2 experiment, they seem to be bringing a system like this to World of Warcraft. But here's the problem. Well, how is World of Warcraft different to StarCraft 2 and Dota? I mean, buy to own, and it's also buy to play on a monthly basis. StarCraft's War Chest and Dota's Battle Pass exists to give those games sustained revenue, but WoW already has that. So this is asking for a lot more, and that is fine, I guess, and it is totally within their right. But I do think that given the baseline cost of playing World of Warcraft, that players will expect additional offerings to be of a much higher quality, and to be more special and all that stuff. So far, though, it just seems like they're giving us some toys. Now, they have not talked about much else, and it seems like it's just the same as the charity pet sale, just that some of the money's going into an esports prize pool. If that's the case, then Well, it would have to be extremely cheap, the price of those toys, to have the same overall value proposition per, unit of money spent as, say, StarCraft's thing or Dota's thing. Now, assuming these were maybe $14.99, I mean, man, you'd be getting a hell of a lot less for your money than you would be from Dota or what StarCraft give. And from a mechanical perspective, I mean, there really is nothing to it. In StarCraft, you earn a bunch of stuff as you play matches with the Battle Pass or the War Chest. In Dota, you earn a bunch of stuff as you play matches and predict the outcome of games, and you give and receive tips to other players, you complete meta objectives, and I mean, look, I am actually very iffy personally on the idea of buying a StarCraft War Chest and then having to unlock the things. I mean, it's weird, I suppose, and those models, yeah, they've just developed a little bit strangely, but it seems like they're all a lot more high effort than what they're planning for WoW. And basically, if this WoW thing ends up releasing as they have announced it, it seems really low effort, especially since it's a sub-game. Now, as for the community response, well, many WoW players who will just see this as another microtransaction. They won't know that it's, similar to an established business model the players have accepted in other games. Additionally even, it also follows the most recent store mount, which was not well received because of it, again, being a full purchase and subscription game, and B, being timed terribly. Yeah, you can buy it with gold, but that's just about the most surface level and uncompelling argument that I've heard, and, that's something I've addressed in the past. At the end of the day, the more you let your principles slip, the more the market is unable to correct for errors and, companies acting badly, and that's how they slowly get us over time. It's pretty simple. And then, of course, we've got the Dreadwake, which, again, regardless of personal opinions, it did definitely cause an outrage. And then, of course, there's the pretty manipulative See You Later bundle, which, again, was a bit of a new low. So it's the wrong environment to release a further microtransaction, and if we're to then put on our tinfoil hats somewhat, you could sort of see this as Blizzard priming people for toys to be a regular part of the in-game store. On the whole, I think they basically just know there is a segment of WoW players who love their merch and buy all the in-game purchases, and they know that those players will just pay more than the industry average for that type of thing, because at the end of the day, it's WoW. People are heavily invested. So Blizzard, if you wanted to do this right, you would not have announced it this way. Once more, Blizzard have shown their inability to think about how they are perceived. See, here's the thing. You can use empathy, the ability to sort of place yourself in someone else's shoes. That can be used for mercenary reasons, i.e. to predict and exploit. Yes, that's a tad evil, but man, I'm not trying to give them tips, but if they actually did that a bit more, they might make life easier for themselves. Now, this should have been announced as part of a more full system, more than just a toy in a store. This should have had special content and special things that would have came with it. Maybe have a wager prediction system, like with Dota. Maybe put a new room in the cities that has additional, meta content. Of course, stuff for the esports fans, so that maybe the MDI or the arena stuff could maybe be shown in-game, and maybe there would be just some new parts of the in-game UI for people who, bought into that thing so that they could have a deeper engagement in the esports life. Maybe something a bit more similar to what Dota are able to do and the value they can sort of create for their players with their Battle Pass. But they haven't tried to do that. It just seems to be two things in the store. And basically, for me, it just comes down to this. If you're going to sell a product for money, make it a compelling product. Don't, just yeet some low poly count toys onto the store and tell people, it's so that their love of Warcraft will be validated by a larger prize pool in the headline of a Forbes article. Which pretty much seems to be what this is. Okay, let's move on to me and Warcraft. What am I doing in Azeroth? Well, look, here's my thinking. I kind of just wanted, it's a slow week in terms of news. I thought I'd let you know here. We're going from strength to strength at work. We're entering new production with the game stuff in February. Then we have the new channel that kicked off. On top of that, I'm developing a new video series for this channel. So then when we look at WoW, am I excited about Season 2? Well, once 815 comes out, I know I'm going to do the Brawlers Guild. I actually can't wait for that, and I'm probably going to do a Xantalari and a Kultiran. But past that, though, I might do some of my class mounts and my pending alts. But other than that, maybe the odd Assault and Darkshore Warfront to keep my main in a semi-okay condition. Past that, I can't say I'm massively excited about playing Season 2. Now, for me, it is actually more personal because most of my friends have quit, actually, and my old guild is fully dead. Now, I'm actually really excited about what Nazjatar could bring, and I don't want to burn myself out until then, so what I'm going to be doing is taking it kind of easy with personal gameplay. At the end of the day, Season 3 is a full reset. It will render all Season 2 progress irrelevant, especially because Azerite is being reworked. So, from where I'm standing, there just isn't any reason to play this version of Battle for Azeroth right now unless I had a guild to raid with or something like that. I mean, hey, it seems like the game's going to be a lot better in May, and maybe we'll go to Nihilotha after that, and that seems awesome. So because of that, I'm actually stepping back from WoW gameplay a little bit, and now admittedly for me it was already quite low in BFA, and I'm going to focus that freed up time in making new content for this channel particularly, especially the future expansion retrospectives, which I'm starting to work on now, plus a new historical series covering the Warcraft universe that I'm also working on pretty soon now, but it should be a month or two before it starts coming out, plus of course more lore. At the end of the day, I love doing the lore, I love researching past expansions, and that's going to be how I engage with World of Warcraft until the Nazjatar PTR cycle actually comes in. Really, for the most part, I actually also don't think that viewers of the channel are that interested in game guides anyway. I think they will be once 8.2 comes out. And I think most of us are actually quite excited about 8.2 because we know it's going to throw the bad parts, well, the worst parts of Azerite, it's throwing them in the bin. It's going to give us some new progression in the heart of Azeroth, and it seems like it's going to give us a pretty cool new landmass. I mean, Nazjatar looked pretty cool, Mechagon looked pretty cool, and then they teased N'Zoth as the patch after that, which again, just in terms of concept, like with Argus, seems pretty cool. It really does seem like Battle for Azeroth, the best we can hope for is BFA to have been a pretty rocky start that in its latter third, maybe latter 2/5 or something like that, takes off and has the better quality stuff, which obviously is unfortunate, and that I guess is maybe too hopeful for some of you, but that's basically what I'm thinking and where I am with World of Warcraft and how I'm proceeding forward. Actually, for people who want to watch this channel and get World of Warcraft content, like the lore and the documentary stuff, it's good for you because it means I'm actually putting way more time into that. So yeah, that's what's up. Anyway, that's really it for today's episode of the news, though, of course, if you want more news, there's probably like an hour of content on the other channel, maybe over an hour. We've got a Fallout video that's going up today, which also will go and, talk a little bit about game engines and stuff like that. And generally with my channel, what I try to do is I try to use the headlines as a jumping off point to talk about just some deeper topics and how things work. So as an example, for the Bethesda Fallout one, I'm going to be talking a bit about game engines and how they work. So there should be a little bit more value past just the current affairs. Anyway, check that out if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.